Welcome. This is Tom.
Mike.
AM.
In the PM.
Right here, HUDradio.com. And tonight's show is brought to you by Gibson Mayer LLC, your certified public accountant, 215-369-3300 on the web, gibsonmayer.com. And we're streaming live from the Legend Step Studios here in Burlington, New Jersey. And a lot of things to talk about tonight. We'll go over later on the show the dumbest thing you heard all week, Bro Code, Final Four, National League Breakdown. We'll do that. I'm Tom Arnone, Michael Mataraki, my partner in crime, and Rob Povia producing tonight's show. But the main question, Hannah, we want to know is how many games will the Phillies win in 2016? You can vote Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube. 82 or more, 76-81, 70-75, less than 70, whatever you want. You can vote. You got another, they're winning 50, like some people said earlier on shows. Go ahead, type that in. Whatever you want to do. You can get on the phone lines, 856-295-1178.
That person is an idiot.
Yeah. That's an easy one. That's a big-time easy one. So we're going to start with the Phillies. Phillies is brought to you by the Sports Outlet for all your sporting needs, 701 Black Horse Pike in Glendora, New Jersey, 856-939-2030 on the web, sportsoutletinc.com. How many games did Phillies win in 2016, Mr. Mataraki?
Well, we've kind of tossed this around a little bit in the last couple of weeks as we've been watching the team come through spring training, and I'm ready to up the ante, Mr. Arnone.
Up in the ante.
I am up in the ante here. I am ready to go as high as 78. I'm looking at a 78 and 84. I'm sorry, 78 and 80, 78 and why can't I do math right now? 162 games. 81 is 500.
78 and 84.
Yeah, there's 78 and 84.
There you go. We got it. We're here. 78. You're jumping.
I am jumping.
Where were you a few weeks ago?
A few weeks ago, I think I was 74.
I don't know. Where do you get the 78?
I think I get the 78 with the fact that the bats haven't cooled off the second half of spring training the way I thought they might when they started seeing some better pitching. And I'm kind of excited with what I've seen out of, unfortunately, Adam Morgan, who doesn't appear to have made the team, but Adam Morgan, Vince Velasquez, Jared Eichhoff, Brett Oberholzer, the last couple starts from Aaron Nola. Charlie Morton's been a little bit of a surprise the last couple weeks. The only Phillies starter that I really have a concern about right now is their number one, Jeremy Hellickson. But I really feel like there's more offense there than I think people thought. And I think people are really kind of stuck on Peter Borges and Tyler Goodell and Freddie Galvis, and they're going, where's the offense going to come from? But I think there's more offense there than people think. The biggest problem that this team has right now is who's going to close.
Yeah, which we'll get into later on who's going to be the closer. But I don't know. I would love to be Mr. Optimistic, and year in and year out, I usually come on, and I am. But with the staff as assembled, it's going to be tough. I still think they're going to get down games early. Eichhoff's getting hit around big time, and I don't think a lot of things that happen in spring training and say, hey, that's going to definitely happen when the big league season starts, but it's still cause for concern. And it's cause for concern that every one of these pitchers, nobody's pitched a full season. Hellickson was the only one who I think's pitched over 200 innings in his career. That's concerning. That's concerning. And if you're going to get down like we were last year, and you're going to get down early, they could lose 100 games again. Do I think it's going to happen? No, but if you start losing, then what happens? All the kids start coming up.
Right, but I think the difference this year is last year when their starting rotation started going through injuries or ineffectiveness or whatever, you were bringing up – you had guys like David Buchanan in the rotation. You were bringing up guys like Severino Gonzalez, Alec Asher. You're pulling guys off the scrap heap from other teams. And this year, if you need to dig a little deeper for that starting pitching, ready or not, here I come, you could be looking at guys like Mark Appel, Jake Thompson, Zach Eflin, Ben Lively, which could be good, could be not.
Which could lead more towards the 100 losses.
It could, but it would be a very interesting and educational 100 losses.
Listen, I'm fine with the kids losing 100 games, But, my concern is to get to 78, I need a lot of things to go right for a team that's a below average team on paper. It's a way below average team on paper. And I know paper doesn't, translate to the field, but in this case, I think it's going to.
Well, I've never been one to put a ton of stock in spring training, but when you have a team this bad on paper that comes out in spring training and wins 15 games,
stop.
They're a little better than you think.
No, you cannot come here and talk spring training and winning games and translating. It happened in 93, and we all want to hang our hat on it, and I get it. But realistically,
93 was 23 years ago.
Exactly.
I think we're a little past
No, because you just talked about it a few weeks ago. So we're not that far past it. We talked about it on the show.
Right, but what did I say?
I know we're past it. We're not like sitting there drinking tea talking 93 with Dutch, but we still mentioned it, so it ties in a little bit. I would love to think it would happen like that where, okay, you bring some momentum in, and I think it can happen for a little bit, Mike.
Right.
But for a long period over the stretch of this season, if you start losing and then the kids start coming up and there's change, and it's a long season. When you
I agree with that. I totally agree with what you're saying.
I think they're going to start good, but I think at some point the season's going to get long, and when the season gets long, I think that's when they're going to hit that wall and where you can see a lot of losses come.
Now, see, and I hear what you're saying, and I don't disagree, but I think the one piece of this that, and again, it's one of those scenarios that we talked about a couple weeks ago. If everything goes right, if they keep their heads above water until early June, and then all of a sudden, borrowing the old phrase from Charlie Manuel, is hitting season.
Yeah.
And these guys start to rake. Who knows? I mean, don't get me wrong. I'm not sitting here trying to tell you they're going to contend for the National League East title. My gut just tells me there's more here than we think. And they always say that your manager can win you 5 games a year and can lose you 5 games a year. And I'm a hell of a lot more confident in the manager this year than I was last year.
Me too. And listen,
that's for sure.
I'm not saying I don't have the same feeling in my stomach. I'm just playing devil's advocate here and giving the other side on realistically, as much as I have the same little feeling that there's more here because I really like some guys on this team. But overall, I don't think it's deep enough. And I think over a long season is when it's going to hurt them. But I've been wrong before. I think everybody in this room's been wrong before at some point. So, I mean, who knows? But, a lot of things have to go really right, and a lot of things have to go really wrong for, I believe, other teams in your division, because that's where a lot of your schedule comes from. And if you're getting beat up in your division, you're in for a long season. So it really depends on how good this division is, which we'll get into later on when the NL breakdown. But it depends on how good we really think this division is, Mike, because I don't necessarily disagree with a 78 total. I voted 82. Have fun on the page. So, I just did a different conversation on air. But I got cute and went the 82 route because I could see it happening. But I also could see 100 again. So, but I don't see over that 82 is that marker. There's no chance any higher. No chance. But
well, I mean,
lower
82 puts them basically 1 game over 500. So
right around there is where I think everything goes right is where they could be. But I think more realistic is close to that 90-ish loss total.
So you're thinking like 72 and 90?
Probably.
All right. I mean,
I would like to think more. It depends how good Frank. There's a lot of unknowns. I mean, how good is Maikel Franco? Where is Ryan Howard? Is Ryan Howard going to struggle? Is he going to hit? What are you going to get out of Hellickson? Is Noah ready? Is Eichhoff ready? Velasquez, can he pitch at a major league level? There's a lot of unknowns.
All right, so let me ask you.
Too many.
Let me spin the question a different way.
Yeah, go ahead.
Do you need there to be a particular win total for this year to be considered a success? And if so, what is that total?
I don't know, 10 more wins than last year.
Which would put them at 73? They finished, 63 and 99 last year?
You think you get into the 70s, 75? Successful-ish. But the successful, I can't give that answer quite yet because I had to define successful after I see it.
Right.
Like, okay, is it 75 and a lot of kids were up and they played well down the stretch and the kids look good together? Or was it something that started off real good? They hit a dead period, kids came up, and then it got really bad. So it just depends on how it shapes out. But I would say...
So basically your answer is you can't necessarily call it a success based on a win total. You got to see the body of work as a whole.
Yeah, like Crawford comes out. Does he struggle? I mean, does he bat 180? Yeah, then that's a failure. That's bad. That's scary. Does Franco struggle all year? That kind of stuff would scare me. And if we win 75, it's a scary 75. You win 75 and like Peter Borges is like hitting 285. Now, I'm concerned if other guys are struggling. You know what I mean? I'd rather see Peter Borges bat the 190, 210 and struggle and make sure Herrera and Franco and the guys you hope can hit.
All right.
Fair enough?
Fair enough.
A couple questions that we'll toss out here.
Questions. I like
questions. Talking about the staff and the concern of nobody on the staff. Man, I'll find out how many innings Jeremy Hellickson's pitched right now because I don't know if he's ever got over 200. And I would venture to guess he hasn't.
You're talking in his career?
Yeah, in one season. I'm pulling up right now. I got it. Oh, let's see. He threw...
Nope.
Innings pitched. No, 177 or 189.
His career high, 189 in 2011 with Tampa.
So nobody.
In a season where he finished 13-10 with a 2.95 ERA.
And it's gone downhill since. All right.
Yeah.
310, 517, 452, 462. Downhill. But no pitcher on this team has pitched over 200 innings. So that brings this question up. How many pitchers are they going to go through this year? Starters.
So we're talking at the end of the season, how many different pitchers will have started a game for them this year?
Correct.
I'm going to go with a nice round, even dozen.
That's right where I was at.
Because you have your current five of Hellickson, Nola, Morton, Eichhoff, and Velasquez. The other seven I will give you are Oberholzer, Adam Morgan, Alec Asher. As much as I hate to say it, Severino Gonzalez, David Buchanan. And both of those guys will be like Phil's need to call someone up to start the second game of a day-night doubleheader, blah, blah, blah. Because I don't think either of those guys get extended time unless they're just lights out at AAA. And then I think towards the end of the season when the kids come up, we see some Jake Thompson and some Mark Appel. So there's your 12. And quite honestly, it wouldn't surprise me if it went to 14 and we saw Zach Eflin and Ben Lively at some point this year. If things shake out the way they do when we talked a couple weeks ago about you having those 4 benchmark dates during the season where you feel like if the team is not playing well, they're just going to keep getting progressively younger, which, by the way, I'm still 100% on board with that. If they come out in April and they go, 6-21 during the month of April, I'm all for getting the kids up as quickly as possible.
No, I completely agree. For Morton, right? Morton 171 is the most innings he's pitched, and that was in 2011. So both Hellickson and Morton's, the most innings they pitched were back in 2011. Velasquez threw 55 innings last year, so that's a cause of concern. Can these guys get 30 starts? Are these going to start 30 games this season?
Right.
Does Noah start 30 games? Does Eichhoff start 30 games? I don't know. Morton's never. Most he's ever started was 29. He's never started 30.
Well, I think the one thing that they have going for them this year that they haven't had in the past is that depth. I mean, because I just named off 12 to 14 guys. And, certainly some of them I like a hell of a lot more than others. Mm-hmm. But I would be comfortable, for lack of a better term, with any of those 14 guys starting a game.
No, I agree. It's better than it was last year.
Yeah.
I completely agree with that. But I agree with that number 12. Tops maybe 13. Tops. But
right.
Unless things go really hectic, I think that's like the top number.
Right.
You hope to be more around 8, 9.
Oh yeah, I mean,
on a good year,
of course.
If not better,
right? and who knows? I mean, one of the things that you talked about a couple weeks ago was
I think you really want to be around like 6.
Well, yeah, I mean, ideally, yeah, but you talked about Hellickson, and I guess to a certain extent Charlie Morton. If these guys come out and they pitch well and they're solid and they're healthy for, the entire season leading up to the trade deadline, and these guys are gone, but if you acquire young pitching for them in return that you want to, and we're talking top level prospects, not low level guys. But if you're talking about a guy that, some team in the AL West has had stashed at AAA and they decide that they're going to trade him for Jeremy Hellickson, and you bring the kid over and you want to plug him into Hellickson's spot in the rotation right away, there's always those, those wild cards that get thrown out there that you just you can't see at this time of year.
No, of course not. Of course not. So staying with the pitching, how many closers do they go through? The Phillies.
That is one hell of a question, because at this point it seems like they're going to be starting the season with closer by committee. I think they go through at least 3 before they settle on one.
So a total of 3 will close games this year?
Are we talking...
With semi-consistency, how many closers?
You're talking semi-consistency as in guys who get, 5 saves or more?
Yeah, or at least 5 attempts.
Okay.
Because 5 attempts means you're getting, there's some confidence in you at some point to get out there, or somebody else didn't do their job, or whatever the case may be. So how many guys go 5 or more attempts?
Oh, I'm going to say 4.
4. Nice.
I think it's going to start with Andrew Bailey. I think Ernesto Frieri, pending him making the team, will probably get a turn. I think you got Dalier Hinojosa, who's been ridiculous in spring training and probably is the most deserving of the first shot. And then I think ultimately where they want to go is David Hernandez.
Makes sense.
Yeah, see the Poe fist pump over here. That's his guy.
Yeah, see, I'm really intensely interested in this closer conversation because I drafted both Bailey and David Hernandez in our league as sort of like, okay, maybe one of these guys will be the guy,
At least get 25 saves for him,
right.
25, 30 saves. But I think McCann doesn't want a committee, so I don't see a committee. I think they're going to try to go with somebody. And like I said, it might start with Bailey and end up with Hernandez.
I mean,
depending on if he's healthy or not.
But you know what? If Andrew Bailey comes out and he's getting the job done, I stick with him. I'm not. And like you said, Pete doesn't want a committee. I don't want a committee either. I want to know who's going to be in the game in the 9th inning. As a fan, I want to know.
Committee, non-committee, I just need saves.
Yeah.
Okay, if you roll 20 guys out there through the season, if they're consistent,
win the
get saves. Yeah. However you get it done, get it done. But I agree with that. Moving on, because we're run up against that a little bit. How many homers Franco/Howard? Individually, obviously, I don't need their total, but how many does Franco hit? Say.
Well, going back to the Pove point here, considering that I drafted Maikel Franco in round 5 or earlier in both of my fantasy drafts, and have had trade proposals for him in both leagues, I'm going 38 for Franco.
38.
38.
Ooh.
I'm seeing 38 and 110 out of him.
Listen, I love it. That means he's Ryan Howard, dude. Right? I mean, he becomes that good that quick.
Well, okay,
right?
But here's
because that's how quick Howard got good. I mean, it was Rookie of the Year, MVP.
Right, but here's why I say that.
No, I love it. I love the guy.
Right, but
damn good.
The reason why I say that is because I'm seeing 25 and 90 out of Howard. And I think the bat behind Howard, or the bat behind Franco in Howard, how do I want to say this? A lot of Maikel Franco's success is going to be dependent on how well Ryan Howard hits. Because if they have to pitch to Franco, he's going to kill the ball. If they don't have to pitch to him, thinking that Ryan Howard is going to be an easy out, then the whole thing flips. But I like what I've seen out of Ryan Howard the last couple weeks in spring training, and if he can carry it over, I mean, he gets 20 and 80 in his sleep.
No, he does. I think Franco at least hits you 28. You know what I mean? I think he at least hits you 28 and drives you in 100.
Well, I mean, look what he did in spring training. I mean, he's, 6 in 3 weeks?
Well, I'm giving you at least.
Oh, I know. I hear
at least. I mean, there's going to be slumps and there's going to be dog days. And, I'm saying I think the number to be success for me
Right.
is 28.
Okay.
28, you're driving 100, you bat me 285. We're growing 1 year to the next. Kid's still a kid.
Yeah. Well,
Still a baby.
he's not
like Howard when Howard came up, Mike. You know what I mean? Howard came up at 25
Right.
already. I mean, he's a freaking grown man. Franco's what, 21?
No, 22, yeah. But
Okay, pop.
Here's why I am with
You
Franco.
need a dog cage for him when you go out.
I think with Franco, it's, and I'm going to use the pun here. He walked into spring training at the last possible minute and said, "Oh, are you all waiting for me?" And he took his big Dominican bat.
Oh, Willie Mays Hayes here?
He took his big Dominican bat and laid it on the table, if you know what I mean.
I get you. I get your drift.
And said, "Hey, this is my year." Exactly. He says, "Hey, this is my year. I'm going to do things on my terms." And then he went out and he just clobbered. And I think he set the tone for himself for the entire season with that.
Well, see, I could see this happening because I started playing MLB The Show.
There you go.
The rankings for Maikel Franco and the season that I've been playing, that's what he's hitting. He's hitting like 35 homers, 100 RBIs. So, I mean, how much can I don't know. I didn't want to bring this up because that's fantasy land. This is the real ball field, but
the conversation's all fantasy. So
it is.
Yeah.
It's all projections and predictions. And I think 28 and driving in 100 and batting 285 is a very successful year for Maikel Franco. Moving on.
Real quick, Tommy, before you move on, Flyers Caps, nothing into the first.
So Howard, what would Howard be?
I'm saying 25 and 90.
Yeah, I think around there. I think, like you said, he does that on a bad day.
He's 20 and 80 in his sleep. So if he improves just a little bit over last year, he goes 25 and 90. 25 and 90 could get him traded to a contender.
Oh, very well could. Very well could. Herrera, average doubles.
Whew. I love this guy.
Me too. I'm a big fan.
And there's,
I was blowing him before the season last year.
There's some
these airways.
Some experts, and I will use that term loosely, that are talking about him potentially challenging for a batting title this year. I don't know if I'm going to go that far, but Herrera batting average 320, 35 doubles. I might be a little light on the doubles there.
Yeah, I was going to go 310 and 42 doubles. I think he hits over 40.
I think the difference there, or between our numbers, I also see him hitting 15 bombs.
I agree. I see that in there too. At least 12 to 15.
I think late last year he learned how to use that right field foul line at the bank.
Yeah.
And he knows that it's 330 down the line and the ball jumps into that right field corner. He could turn on that inside pitch and you only got to hit it 335 feet and you're taking the trot. So, who knows?
Yeah, no, you're right. I mean, if you know this field, listen, hit the ball at the ballpark here is a little smaller than other fields. Ball carries when it gets hot out. And, if you got some pop and you're a double guy, you can walk in the 15 to 18 out there.
Right.
Real quick, Noah, wins, ERA.
14 wins. I'm going to go 14 and 10 with him. But ERA, 3.3. I don't think he loses badly. I think he loses some tight games.
Yeah, I was going to say 12 wins and ERA around 3.4.
All right, so we're in the neighborhood.
Yeah, we're right there.
This is what happens when you put two smart people in a conversation.
Well, usually you're going to get similar, opinions of smartness. Sleeper, underperformer, and a guy who steps up for your 2016 Titans, which means you're going to need somebody to step up.
My sleeper, Peter Borges.
Like Peter. I feel like we did something very similar
with
to the Eagles season.
Yeah, we did.
It turned into be a shit show. Don't you put this on me, Ricky Bobby.
If you ain't first, you're last.
I hope you have sons. And they're great athletes, and their legs are taken.
Yeah,
all right,
so my sleeper is Peter Borges.
Like it.
My guy who steps up, Cesar Hernandez. I actually think he's got a shot to challenge Herrera for highest batting average on the team.
See, something's a good stick. And the underperformer?
The underperformer. Can I just take the catching position as a whole?
Yeah, you can.
I mean, as much as I love Carlos Ruiz, he's done. I like Cameron Rupp. I think he's got a lot of potential, but I kind of get the feeling he's going to be one of these guys who knows that there's at least 3 prospects in the system that are as good or better and kind of shrivels up and goes away because of it. So I think my weak spot, my underperform is going to be the catching position.
Sleeper. Go Howard.
All right.
I mean, who do you pick here to sleeping? That somebody's sleeping on. You know what I mean? They're sleeping on everybody. But the other guys like Franco and Herrera, I mean, we love them guys, so they're not sleepers to me. So I'll go, and I love Howard, but, from past years, I think he could have a semi-bounce back year. So maybe he's a little bit of a sleeper. An underperformer.
Who's your step-up guy?
My step-up guy?
Yeah.
I think that's Herrera. You talk about 310, 42 doubles. You talk about a guy who maybe can hit 15 home runs for you. I really think that's your step-up guy. I think we both believe Franco takes that next step, but I think that the big thing's top of your order. Guys getting on for Franco. So if Herrera's not getting on, Franco doesn't drive in 100.
I see. It's funny because I don't even consider Herrera my step-up guy because based on the second half of last year, I'm just assuming he's going to be there. Like, I'm already all in on him. So,
no, me too.
I mean, God bless you for taking him. I had nothing wrong with it. In my mind, I couldn't even make him my step-up guy because I'm assuming
you took down their freaking guy that's step-up worthy here in the lineup.
Well, you got no Freddie Galvis love?
No, not step-up-wise. So I'm stuck between a rock and a hard place here. I'm going to take the guy to that boy because stepping up is your numbers doing what? Going up from the year before. So essentially, it's a step up. He gets better.
Oh yeah.
Because if he stays the same or gets a little worse, then you start to concern yourself a little bit.
Well, I'm not
the same, but if he gets worse,
he stays the same, and he's a 297 hitter. I'm not going to have any beef on that.
Yeah, but if he gets worse,
well, yeah.
If he gets worse, right? When do you want him to get better from one year to the next?
Of course.
Take a jump in your sophomore, take a jump in your junior year, and then you really have your breakout seasons.
Right.
That's what I'm looking for. Underperformer? You can write Charlie Morton in for this. I mean, that's right. You got someone to write this at home. Write Charlie Morton in because
in ink,
because he will either be hurt, he'll get shelled, or he'll pitch half decent and get dealt. All underperforming because half decent pitching is underperforming. It's not good pitching, right?
No, it's not.
Half decent pitching. Like I said, on the other side, we will break down the NL East. This is Tom,
Mike,
AM
in the PM,
right here at A2DRadio.com. This segment was brought to you by the Phillies Sports Bar, 31 South Black Horse Pike in Runnymede, New Jersey, 856-939-4322 on the web, PhillyDiner.com.
You're listening to the worldwide leader of Real Talk, A2DRadio.com.
A2DRadio.com is sponsored by Romeo's Termite and Pest Control. Family owned and operated, Romeo's only employs the safest, most effective methods to rectify your situation. Whether it's at your house or at your commercial residence, no matter what the concern may be, they'll get the job done. Raccoons, squirrels, bed bugs, termites, you name it, they'll take care of it. Satisfaction guaranteed. Give them a call at 856-341-3927 or look them up on Facebook at Romeo's Pest Control or visit their website at www.romeospestcontrol.com, your local pest control provider. A2DRadio.com is sponsored by Martino Roofing. With more than 15 years of roofing experience, they have all the services that you need, whether it's new construction, tear-offs, replacements, or re-roofs for your residential or commercial business. They'll provide a detailed service in a timely and professional manner. So you can give them a call for a free consultation at 609-792-5103. Send them an email at martinoroofing@comcast.net or visit them on the web at www.martinoroofingllc.com. The number again is 609-792-5103. Martino Roofing.
This is Tom Arnone, owner and founder of HUDRadio.com. What if I told you I knew the best caterer in the business? Well, I'm not going to lie to you. It's Obie's Catering. You can contact Obie's Catering at cateringbyobie@yahoo.com or give Chris O'Brien a call at 856-534-8410. From graduations to wedding rehearsals to just if you need food cooked in your house. He'll do it all. He's trying to change the world one dish at a time. That's Obie's Catering. Chris O'Brien, 856-534-8410. Tell him Tommy A from HUDRadio.com sent you, and you get 20% off.
I'm going hungry. Yeah.
HUDRadio.com is proudly sponsored by Gibson Mayer LLC Certified Public Accountants. Gibson Mayer, located in Yardley, PA, is a leading accounting and business consulting firm with a proven track record of handling critical issues with expertise across many different industries, including construction, distribution, hospitality, manufacturing, real estate, service trades, merchandising, professional services, and professional athletes. Give them a call at 215-369-3300. That's 215-369-3300. Your initial consultation is always free, and if you tell them that Tom and Mike from AM and the PM sent you, you'll receive 15% off all income tax services completed by February 15th. That's Gibson Mayer LLC Certified Public Accountants, 215-369-3300, or visit them on the web at www.gibsonmayer.com. That's gibsonmayer.com.
You're listening to Tom and Mike, AM in the PM, here on HUDRadio.com.
This is Tom and Mike, AM and the PM, only on HUDRadio.com. And we start the show. If you're just joining us, we talked Phillies, predictions, 2016. We went through a lot. Noah win, loss, ERA, sleeper, underperformer, who steps up, Herrera average doubles, how many homers Franco and Howard hit, how many closers do we have to get at least 5 opportunities in a game, how many pitchers, starters will they go through this year? But our main question was how many games will the Phillies win in 2016? You can vote Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube. HUD Radio is how you can find us. Want to hop in on the phone lines, 856-295-1178. Phillies predictions comes right in the little NL East predictions, semi-breakdown, and that is brought to you by Obie's Catering, changing the world one dish at a time. Contact Chris O'Brien, 856-534-8410. Email him cateringbyobie@yahoo.com or on Facebook at Catering by Obie. Tell him Tom Arnone or anybody from HUDRadio.com saying it 20% off. Mike, a little NL East breakdown. And, you know, I know another show did this on these airways, but doesn't mean that we're not allowed to talk about it. There's no, the only person holding intellectual property here, you're talking to him, Michael. So let me ask you a question.
I like it. I like it
Let me tell you how much intellectual property.
Mr. Intellectual Property.
So if somebody came to me hypothetically and said, Tom, right, Rob, you on this one with me? Right, Tom. We want to merge with you hypothetically, right? This is how I break this down to the public. Well, my intellectual property, everything I have in my head is worth at least $250,000. My time and effort's worth at least $250,000.
At least.
So we're at $500,000. Not even including a salary.
Well, and your partner sitting across the table from you is worth another $250,000, and your producer is worth at least 250. So that's about $1 million right there.
Yes, you just add it up. But that being said, breaking down the NL East, and I like the Marlins a little bit, but again, not confident in that baseball team. So you come back to Washington and the Mets, and listen, I don't know how confident I am in any of these teams in the NL East, like that confident, like overly confident. You know, the Mets, can they hit enough? Big question. Big question. Who are the Washington Nationals?
Well, let's back up a step to the Marlins, because the entire Marlins season for me rests on two players. It's Jose Fernandez and Giancarlo Stanton. I mean, I love D. Gordon. I think he is a phenomenal athlete. You know, he hits, he steals bases, he's improved defensively. Like, to me, D. Gordon could be an all-star every year for the next 10 years. The Miami Marlins do not go as D. Gordon goes. The Miami Marlins go as Jose Fernandez goes and Giancarlo Stanton goes. Neither of them has been able to stay healthy for a full season in their careers. So at this point, they got to prove it. To me, I mean, right now they're no better than the Phillies. They're probably neck and neck with the Phils until they prove it. And I'm not real impressed with the Braves either.
Well, I mean, I don't know if there's anything to be impressed about there either.
I mean, the Braves have.
They want to keep talking about not being the prettiest girl at the dance, but one that really is a great dancer. You know, that's the routine they went with last year, and they stunk.
Yeah, I mean,
so I don't know what the hell that meant.
Freddie Freeman and Aroldis Vizcaíno and Julio Teheran, and that's it. I mean, what did they win? They won, 5 games in spring training? Come on. Now, and again, it goes back to, I know you don't put a hell of a lot of stock in spring training.
Well, I do if you're bad. But you're bad, you're just bad.
You can't win 5 games in spring training and come out of Florida puffing your chest. You just can't.
No, and hopefully they're not. So who's your, let's say, leader in the clubhouse?
And that brings us to the Mets and the Nationals. So, I mean, the Mets have all the pitching in the world, but like you said, are they going to hit? Do the Nationals have that balance with, Harper, Worth, Zimmerman, and their bats, with
Papelbon,
with Scherzer, Gio Gonzalez, Tanner Roark, and I mean, they lost Jordan Zimmerman, they lost Doug Fister, Papelbon is their closer. I mean, like, there's just it really is, when you look at the National League East team by team. I mean, to me, it's going to be the Mets and the Nationals, neck and neck. But I don't see either of them running away with this division, and I don't see the division winner in the National League East winning more than 90, 91, 92 games. I could very easily see the National League East being a cluster, or a cluster F, but a cluster for a lot of the season. And it's basically just going to be, come end of June, beginning of July, which team actually wants to take hold of the division.
Listen, I don't like either one. I'm sorry. Like you said, I like the Mets better than Washington because I feel like Washington's soft.
Well, they are soft.
But again, can they hit? Is there enough hitting with the New York Mets? Now, in this division, yes, because I think it's a weak division. So I think they can pitch their way through this, because pitching wins to me. Yeah. At the end of the day, you got to have arms.
Pitching is good pitching is always going to be good hitting.
Yes, but the concern is an injury here, an injury there, right? If you don't have the bats to pick up the slack at times when a guy goes down a 15-day DL, right? You have the bats to go win an 8-4 game, 8-5 game. Listen, when I look through that lineup, I'm not being a hater. I keep baseball pretty real like other sports. Who really hits that much? We're going to say Granderson? We're really going to put our trust in Curtis Granderson, over the age of 35, to hit consistently for 162 again? Cespedes, who I believe is, listen, man, I never liked. There's a reason the guy goes to all different teams. It's the first time he stuck somewhere, and the only reason he stuck is because he had to. How are you going to sell a fan base on letting a guy walk after he helped carry you to a World Series? You can't let the guy walk. You can't.
No,
So they had to bring him back,
get it.
and because they're pressed to bring him back because they don't have enough power, enough bats in their lineup. Michael Conforto,
Well, that's
like the kid.
Well, I was going to say
we don't know. It's an unknown, right?
That's their guy. I mean, I think where they got to go is they need.
Can he hit 300 for you? 290.
They need Conforto. They need Travis d'Arnaud.
He's got it. He can't hit 215.
They need offense out of their catcher spot. They need Duda to hit 30 homers. They need David Wright to just stay healthy for the entire season.
Which, he'll bat 280 if he's healthy, 275.
But,
right?
But I think the guy that you mentioned very early on, Granderson, he could be the linchpin to the whole thing. If he hits 220 with 12 homers, they're going to be in trouble. If he hits 285 with 25 homers, an entirely different story.
Yeah, I mean, something tells me he's going to,
I like Conforto a lot. I really do. I there's every part of me that wishes he was either a right-handed batter or a switch hitter. But it's kind of the same thing with Schwarber, with Chicago. If he was either a right-handed batter or a switch hitter, because there's nothing about the kid that I don't like, just the fact that he's left-handed bat and left-handers can't hit left-handers, especially young ones.
No, but he did go for, batting 270 your rookie year. I mean, the kid came in and hit well enough, I believe. And it's, what are you going to get up the middle? You went up the middle in baseball, right? You have the arm, right? Your catcher, good, solid defensive catcher, Neil Walker, Cabrera.
Yeah.
And Cespedes is your center fielder. How strong are you up the middle? How strong are they defensively for a team that's got to rely on beating teams by pitching? How strong of a defense is that defense constructed? Dude, right? Neil Walker can pick it a little bit.
See,
Cabrera making flashy plays, but how consistent is he?
I don't hate on Neil Walker or Cabrera, but as we're very fond of saying, they're guys. Yeah, they're just guys. I mean, I think they've both seen better days in their careers, but I wouldn't necessarily say either of them are washed up either. I mean, they're just guys.
Listen, Washington, going back and forth on both real quick, right?
Right.
So we have some of the issues that we see from the Mets, right? We see that there could be hitting issues. And if a guy gets on the DL for 15 days, something like that, how's the depth, right? And can you hit enough to carry you through them stretches? Well, you're the Washington Nationals, right? Who needs to step up for Washington Nationals to win this division? Or you can look at Jason Worth and say he's got to hit a little bit for this team. Rendon's got to come back and have a real good year for them because, like we talked about early on the show, staff has gone down a little bit. Gone down. You still have Scherzer, right? You still have a pup, a guy on the bump who's a 1, right? Strasburger, I think, is a fraud. Gio Gonzalez is a fraud. Tanner Roark, I actually like more than the other two, to be honest with you.
I like Tanner Roark a lot, too. And we haven't even mentioned Strasburg.
No, I just said he's a crumb.
Yeah, he's a crumb.
I think he's no good. Hang another curveball, babe. I rate that.
Let me ask you a quick question.
And then Joe Ross will probably be their 22-year-old. So who's he? We don't know.
Let me ask you a quick question. While
Tyson Ross is his brother.
Is he really?
Tyson Ross? His brother?
Nice. No kidding.
Yeah, small world.
Tyson Ross is a big fantasy sleeper.
But I do like watching real quick, and then make your point. Ben Revere. Really like the addition. I think he brings something to that team. They need a guy. Listen, Denard Span, when he was healthy, they were good. Rob, we talked about this a lot, Mike. Us too, right? Yeah. When he was going, they were going. As soon as he got hurt, Washington couldn't hit no more. Didn't generate nothing. And Revere, real similar to Denard Span. Neither one walk a lot. Right? Revere, another guy, doesn't walk a lot. But if he gets on, he creates havoc. And when the Phillies were playing right before the All-Star break that one year, before he broke his foot, he started to hit on top of the order. And next thing you know, they were close to 500. Remember that?
No,
the White Sox series, we're all giddy around here. Here they come. We're still waiting. We're still waiting for them to come.
I will tell you this, and I'm gonna step into
the right fielder's a crumb.
Gonna step into the Dusty Baker shoes for a second here, and I'll
do you have wristbands on?
I do.
Okay, good.
I do.
Just want to confirm.
A deuce. If I'm Dusty Baker looking at that outfield, I'm doing a little bit of the shell game here. So if you look at Ben Revere last year, when he went to Toronto played him in left field. He was a much better defensive outfielder in left field than he was center So I'm putting Ben Revere in left, taking Jason Worth from left to right, and I'm going to play Bryce Harper in center field. I think, obviously you got the same 3 sticks in the lineup, so you're not losing anything offensively.
I actually like that design better. Yeah.
I think you're you're taking away a half a run a game defensively by going with your, probably your best all-around outfielder in Bryce Harper in center field.
Let me ask you guys a question, right?
But,
We're going through the Nationals, watching the Nationals right now,
right.
and Daniel Murphy, right? And you go and you steal a guy from your arch nemesis, the team you're competing with, similar to Eagles Cowboys thing. Daniel Murphy, similar outcome as DeMarco Murray. He at age 30, still semi in the prime. I mean, you're in your prime to about 31, 32 in baseball, what they call the prime. A guy who only batted 281 last year in the regular season, 14 homers, 17 RBIs, good player. Paid a lot for him. Now, I'm not worried about the money part of it. Does the player, does he give you them numbers this year? Does he bat 281, 15 home runs in Washington? Or you're buying higher or you're buying lower than 281 for Daniel Murphy?
Rob is our resident Mets fan, so I'm going to defer to him first on this one. So
yeah, I think average-wise, he'll come close but fall short. I'll peg him, I'll say 263.
So you're buying under
I'll
the
buy
281.
under. Yep.
Mike, you buying over or under the 281?
I'm buying way under.
Way under. So you're in the same ballpark as the 60s or 50s?
I'm thinking he's 245, 250. And I'll tell you why. Because I think
waiting.
I think this is a classic case of one of these guys who doesn't even necessarily have a career year, but he blows up in the playoffs, gets a big contract, and then spends the entire next year just pressing and pressing and pressing to try to live up to that contract and doesn't do it.
Okay, I'm buying over.
Wow. Go ahead.
Because this is a guy who's a career 288 hitter.
Right.
This isn't a guy who's ever had his worst batting year was 266 in 2009. I mean, you're talking 313, 266, 320, 291, 286, 289, 281, right? The only reason I'm saying I'm going to buy over in this situation is because I think Washington's lineup suits him better. Oh. And there's a lot of protection more than he was getting in the Mets lineup, right? Because now you have a guy like Bryce Harper. I mean, not many teams in baseball can say they have that kind of protection. As much as I hate the guy, right. Big time protection, stud pup. Trout, Harper, Goldschmidt, right? There's not many names around this league, Cabrera, right? But how many of them guys have them kind of guys in their lineup to have that, right? And you look at a guy, there's more than that, right? Rendon can hit when he's healthy, right? So that's even more protection for him. Ramos, guy with a little bit of pop when he's healthy. Revere's a 300 hitter. Worth, if he's healthy, could give you 265, 270 at this point of his career.
All right, all great points. My counterpunch to that, though, is playing half of his games in Washington. He doesn't have 320-foot Utley's corner down the right field line with a 430-foot right center field gap to play with. So different ballpark changes the dynamic a little bit.
This guy played in freaking Shea for a few years.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
And he's still batted in the 80s.
Right, but when you have outfielders at Shea that have to play deep because they're covering a right center field gap that's 420 feet, that leads to a lot of singles and doubles dropping in front of outfielders instead of.
Okay, listen, I understand the big dimensions of Citi Field. Okay, I completely understand that. But
now
when you're talking about 13, 14 home runs, should maybe pop to 18 to 20.
Yeah, I was going to say, could he hit more home runs in Washington? Sure, he
probably
could.
Right, but I think he's in the 280s. I'm not going to I'm not buying he's going to bat 295, but I think he stays around the same. I think he's 14 homers, 280 guy. It's who he is. He's not going to. My point, he's not going to live up to all that money, but he's going to be solid. That's all he is.
And that's my point. I think the biggest decline in his game, you're going to see he's not a home run hitter. I think he'll have single digits in home runs. I think the batting average, he's a great contact hitter. He will do successful in that, but he'll take the hit because what do you see all players that get paid do that first year? There's just that natural decline. That's the only reason why I said I saw a hit in the batting average. That's his game, is contact. What you saw in the postseason is not Daniel Murphy. I've loved the guy for years,
right? And
he's not a guy with pop. He didn't even utilize Utley's corner, so to speak, as much as he should have in that. And you make a great point with the gaps.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. But the Nationals ballpark is a cavern too. So, I just think that he gets a decline. You're not going to see what he saw in the postseason, but he has a slight decline in the batting average because he got paid.
Yeah. If I thought he was that kind of guy, I would say yeah. But when you're just a natural 280 walking 280 hitter, I just don't think getting paid is going to have him check out that much. I mean, if he was checking out, I look at his spring training numbers, and if he was in like the 250, that'd be really concerned and start thinking in my head like, maybe bet 273 in the spring, and nobody gives a rat's ass about spring training. So, that's what I'm looking at and sort of judging it off of. And the lineup, I don't disagree with you guys thinking that he could have a down year because anything's possible. I'm just looking like having Harper help him a little bit. I'm sure, Rendon, a righty that's probably going to bat around him. Like you said, Rob, he's a big-time contact hitter in a lineup where he's going to see fastballs. Does he hit more than 18? No, because I don't think he's a home run guy. Maybe he gets a couple more than that 14, 16 range because of a couple doubles. Because the guy hits 38 doubles a year, 35 and over. That's what he averages in doubles. If he had a body of work, listen, that playoff series in the whole playoffs isn't who he is. He got hot,
right? Really
hot. But who he is a solid player who, like you said, a lot of guys cash in after big postseasons, and he was able to cash in off of it. And I actually think this one hurts the Mets a little bit. Back before, I didn't think it did. When it first happened, I actually thought it was a bad move by Washington. The more I look at it, I think it's actually a really good one. Because worst case, you take this guy out of that lineup. You take him away from you. It's same with the Eagles at DeMarco. Okay, it didn't work out for the Eagles, but you still took him away from the team that could have used him. So maybe it's the same thing. Neil Walker's solid player, though. So, I mean, could be real similarities in their two games. So it's interesting. It's interesting. But I hate both teams. I actually hate Washington more, though, which will surprise a lot of people. Can't stand it.
Oh, the real quick, end of the second. I'm sorry, mid-second. Flyers, Nationals still tied at nothing.
Caps.
Or Caps, yeah.
It's all right. We're talking Nationals.
Yeah.
Your head's where it should be.
Washington. So here's what I wanted to ask you about. We're talking about the Nats. So last night I'm flipping through the channels, and of course, like I come across, Brad Lidge and Harry Callis doing the Phillies 2008 video yearbook. So immediately I'm glued. Because anytime I hear Harry Callis's voice, makes the hair on my arm stand on end and, whatnot. But there's a lot of Jason Worth in there. So the question I want to ask you guys is twofold. Number one, have the Washington Nationals gotten their money's worth out of Jason Worth? No pun intended. And number two, do the Phillies regret letting him go?
No and no. No and no. Because, I mean... I'll pull it up here for you. Okay, his last year in Philly, we know 296, 27 homers. He's had, let's see here, 2012 and only 81 games. So we can't go there. 2013, he played 129 games, 318, 25 home runs. A guy who hasn't played over 150. Played 151 year, 147. He's been hurt the whole time in Washington. When he plays, he's good, right? When he's healthy, in 2014, he batted 292. Boom. Last year, 88 games, unhealthy, 221. So, no, because you have to sign him, he would still be under contract. And guess what we would be doing right now? We'd be bitching and freaking moaning that we still have to pay Jason Worth, right? Say no. But I like it though.
But here's where I'm going with this.
Yeah, go.
Jason Worth's last year in Philadelphia, right? 2010, 296 with 27 homers.
85 reps.
First year in Washington, 2011. 232, 150 games, so he was healthy. 232, 20 homers, 58 RBIs. Daniel Murphy, anyone?
No, because no. Look at Jason Worth's numbers in Philly. I mean, this was a guy who was getting signed to carry a team. This wasn't a guy getting signed just to take away from one team to another. Worth was a double dip in terms of you stealing from the Phillies, but look at that production. From 2007 on to 2010 for Jason Worth in Philadelphia. So that guy, you're paying to hit home runs. One, you're building a new ballpark. Well, not a new ballpark, but you're trying to regenerate, a newer team
Right.
to baseball, so you make a splash with the worst. That's why I think they're different signings. They weren't ready really in 2011 to really compete yet, but they were trying to say, hey, we're going to. The Daniel Murphy move is strictly because the Mets won the division last year. Washington, talking about rings before the season, didn't get one. They got to figure it out. Ian Desmond stinks, right? So they got to figure out what they're going to do with shortstop. Well, Espinosa is their only option. Now you're lost to second base. They had to. I think it was a back against the wall situation where you had to pull the trigger. Because it's a double dip. You steal him. He's an average player, but you steal him from a team that needs him, and you need a second baseman pretty bad. And a guy who's a contact hitter. They need some of them guys in their lineup.
I just see a lot of parallels between the two. First off, what you called right out of the gate is it's the double dip. It's you're taking them away from your biggest competition in the division and plugging them into a position of need. But I also see a lot of the similarities in, Jason Worth was a guy, and he had some solid seasons in Philly, no doubt, but he was a guy who made his hay during the playoffs, much the same way Daniel Murphy did. And it's kind of, he becomes that guy where people look at him and say, well, if you want to get to the playoffs, this is the type of guy you need to have on your team. And yeah, maybe he's one of these guys that performs when the red light goes on, a la Jimmy Rollins, but is he going to perform for 162 to get you there? I'm not disagreeing with either of you guys. I just see a lot of similarities.
He just always has. That's the thing, though. He's always been a hitter, and there's not the pressure that came with Jason Worth signing there. When Jason Worth signed there, I think there was a ton of pressure that first year. It's a big time deal.
Oh,
more than that's 2011. He's getting more money than Daniel Murphy's getting in his deal. So there was a ton of pressure on a team that wasn't really any good for him to produce, the numbers he put up in Philly. So you look at the pressure on him. Well, there's where you get the 232 at, right, Mike? Because now you're thinking a lot, and we all know the game you start thinking and you stop hitting, right?
Yeah.
Too many things going on in your head. Still hit you 20, but whatever. With Murphy, there's so much other talent there that he can just sneak through. That's why I think it's not going to be a challenge. If he's signed there like Robinson Cano, Seattle, right? Cano goes Seattle, he's got to hit. Well, he thinking, right? Thinking, stop. He's about 275. Robinson Cano's that 275 hitter. Because what? Because you had to become the main guy, and some guys aren't main guy carrier types, right? And you find out who they are. Worth, example, not a carrier. Great guy you can throw in your 5 or 6 hole, though, right? Daniel Murphy. Okay, he carried him through the playoffs a little bit with his bat, right? We all know that, but is he a carrier? No. He's an average player. So, Mike, to your point, I don't disagree with you to an extent. I just think they're different situations because Murphy can just squeak on through Washington, and nobody will even know he's there. Right? I mean, you get the best, arguably the best player in baseball on your team who has a lot to say, right? And then you got another guy, your closer, who chokes people.
He's got a lot to say, but he doesn't want to be the leader.
No, doesn't want to be the leader, but your leader's choking people. So that's what you want because Pap's going to choke you. So I think listen, if there's a perfect fit for him to sign with somewhere that they're already good and he can sneak through. If he came somewhere that was bad like Philly and had a pressure on Daniel Murphy to be somebody he's not, right, that's when we talk about numbers shrinking and guys shrinking, right? Because a lot of pressure's on you.
You know when you'll see him?
That one felt good.
I hate shrinking.
I'm going to throw my freaking legs up now, right? I mean, it's call it a night because that's good conversation, ladies and gentlemen. Hence, well, you might have seen Big Tom last night, right, Rob?
Yes.
See Big Tom making a cameo in a video. I wanted to give him a chance,
Big Tom's better on camera than you are.
It's debatable.
It's debatable.
It's debatable. I think he's wearing my mom's glasses. Well, you got to throw them kind of fun things up every once in a while because, it brings some excitement. But I wanted to take shots. Not really shots. You just got to let people know we're here. Sometimes people forget. We're simple reminders, public service announcements that we're still here. We don't go anywhere. And no better time than right now to come say hello.
Right, and not only are we here, but we know what we're talking about. We will give you more intelligent conversation than the drivel on the dial.
Well, that's all I was saying.
Because the drivel on the dial has to answer these phone calls from jackasses who don't know squatta from what they flushed down the toilet this morning. We do it our way. We're a new kind of sports talk, different kind of sports talk.
We're going to start asking what that means.
I'll tell you what it means. Give us a call, 856-295-1178.
No question. So what do we got? We got Final Four still to talk about.
A little bit.
We'll get into. Real quick, you have Mets winning division?
No.
You have Washington?
I got the Nats winning the
Me
division.
too. I would love to go the opposite way with you, but that's not how I
Although,
feel.
and that's the thing is,
I think Rendon rakes.
see, and
That's the X factor.
my whole thing is, like I was saying, I think good
Strasburg
good-
has 7 runs.
good pitching beats good hitting.
Yep.
I just don't know if the Mets' good pitching stays healthy all season.
A lot of innings last year, right, Robbie,
A lot of innings.
Right, I didn't even think about that. You sort of forget that. Guys going and it way over what you expect a young kid. Usually they're all on like pitch counts, not these pups, because you had no choice. But we'll find out.
Robbie, where is Zach Wheeler in the process?
He'll be back roughly around July. He has been pitching in spring training. He's just not going to be ready to go right at the start. Obviously, that's why they re-signed Cologne to fill that spot. But
There you go, Bartolo.
yeah, and don't forget about Bart.
Bartolo,
He can hit a little bit.
who's older than me and heavier than me. It's also a little taller than me,
Yeah.
but that's beside the point.
I think two surprises you might see with the Mets is Diaza and Pilecki. I think Pilecki could slot in at first base to spell Duda, and if you can get get him in the lineup with the big club and still have Darno in that lineup, that could answer some of those depth or lack of hitting questions.
Diaz is actually a guy that I was hoping that the Phillies would take a long look at. I like him a lot. I actually think one of the things that could work in the Mets' favor, and we actually talked about this with the Phillies last week, was the 6-man rotation. And if they find that these kids, if you have your DeGrom and your Syndergaard and your Matz and your Harvey that are really starting to get up there in innings by the time Wheeler's ready to come off of the DL, instead of pulling Bartolo from the rotation or moving Matz to the bullpen, if they go to a 6-man rotation and they all pitch well down the stretch, that could be the key for them. I just
Save some innings.
Yeah, I mean, my gut
Save
just
some bullets.
my gut just tells me that these guys went so far into the season last year. This is going to be like their little decline year, and next year they come back, arms ablazing.
Well, you know what? I think it's a letdown. Right? I mean, you see a little bit with Cleveland now, even though they're the best in basketball, even though they're the best team in the East, and LeBron talks about that, he's playing with guys you would have thought that they won the title and Golden State lost the way the two teams are playing throughout this season, essentially, right? What Mets team do you get? Do you get a team that felt like they won something, or do you get a team hungry for more? That's going to be the interesting thing. Nationals, what team are you getting? A team that had a lot to talk about last year, right? Didn't get it done. Or do you get a team that stops talking and comes and plays? Going to be interesting what teams you get. Agreed. Marlins, I think they're a sleeper, but every year they're a sleeper. I mean, for the love of God. Every year the Miami Marlins are that sleeper team, right? And every year their guy either gets smoked in the face with a fastball, some kind of leg injury, right? Or their pitcher, their best pitcher gets hurt. They're always young talent on the rise, but they never rise.
The problem,
You know what I mean? It's who they are. It's unbelievable. Every year I'm like, Marlins.
Here's a problem that I have with the Marlins, and it's not necessarily with their on-the-field team. It's that they have to be one of the dumbest organizations in sports. When you have a team built around a right-handed power hitter who's your franchise player that you've signed to a 13-year contract, and you go out and you design a new stadium, wouldn't you just think it might make a little bit of sense? A little bit of sense to make the park hitter-friendly? I mean, I understand that you get your jollies off seeing how far Giancarlo Stanton can hit the ball.
It falls out of it.
But the guy shouldn't be hitting 420-foot fly balls that barely reach the warning track. He should be hitting 340-foot pop-ups that carry 12 rows deep. Yeah. Just like the Phillies did when they built the ballpark.
Yeah, they built it around a chance to win around it. Because if you're going to sign a guy like you said to a long-term deal, well, shit, he's going to be He's with you about as long as the ballpark is nowadays,
Pretty
right,
much.
guys? Right? About 13, then you're going to ask for a new one, right? Or you're going to ask to move. Somebody else will give you the money. Same thing. So, Mike, you're spot on. We got to freaking build a goddamn ballpark. Don't make your left field porch 410, right? Make it 360.
Yeah,
Let a guy pop one out, hit it 60 in his sleep, right?
I mean,
I wonder how much Major League Baseball plays into that, though, the design of ballparks. I'm just curious on how much input they have in the design and how short you can go.
They have to approve the dimensions, but the design of the ballpark itself is
the dimensions, I mean.
Right, but here's the thing.
Not a Jimmy sitting on Sally's lap.
No,
I don't mean that.
I get you.
I mean, if they're in for that.
I get you, but here's the thing. They could have done a lot of different things with that. I mean, yeah, it's got a retractable roof, but they could figure out ways, because they got that big, huge glass window pane out beyond the left field wall out there. And I understand it's Miami and it's, sweaty balls hot at certain times of year or whatever, but find a way to open a window. Make the ball carry in there a little bit. Look at the ballpark in Arizona as a means of comparison.
Launching pad, dude. Guys hit balls to center like 680.
The ballpark in Arizona is huge, but the ball still jumps out of there.
Well,
and there's no reason they couldn't have done the same thing in Miami.
It's just thinner air in Arizona,
it
too.
is.
So,
but it's you look at when the
humidity kills the ball.
When the Phillies opened Citizens Bank Park, that park was designed for Jim Thome and Pat Burrell. And Miami did Giancarlo Stanton zero favors.
Well, they do everybody dirty in Miami. So next time we'll go Final Four. We'll talk about the dumbest thing we've heard all week.
I'm gonna go to the Clevelander and let them do me dirty.
Yeah, and the bro code. We'll talk a little bro code on the other side as well. This is Tom,
Mike,
AM
in the PM.
Right here, the worldwide leader, Real Talk, A2DRadio.com. And this segment was brought to you by Martino Roofing. More than 15 years of roofing experience, proudly serving Sewell, New Jersey, as well as Pennsylvania, Delaware, and the South Jersey area at 609-792-5103 on the web, Martino Roofing, LLC.com. Welcome in to the worldwide leader of what? Real Talk, A2DRadio.com.
This is Head, your dude with the tunes from A to Z Classic Rock. When I'm hungry and in the mood for pizza or killer sandwich, I head to Legends Tap, located at 318 High Street, Burlington, New Jersey. Pleasant atmosphere, delicious pizza, kickin' sandwiches, great iced tea, soda, or if you prefer an adult beverage, they have that also. 318 High Street, Burlington, New Jersey, Legends Tap, the best pizza this side of the Delaware.
Hey, do you need to get your skills in shape? Then contact the Scanzano Sports Center, located at 5 Carnegie Plaza in Cherry Hill, New Jersey. You can give them a call at 856-889-3434 or visit them on the web at www.scanzanosports.com. John Scanzano offers individual, semi-private, and team training lessons in hitting, pitching, catching, outfield, along with turf rentals. The Scanzano Sports Center is equipped with a 31,000 square foot indoor facility, 4 batting cages, and a 4,000 square foot strengthening and conditioning room. So what are you waiting for? Contact the Scanzano Sports Center today.
A2DRadio.com is sponsored by The Sports Outlet, located 703 Black Horse Pike in Glendora, New Jersey, with over 40 years of customer experience giving the latest in uniforms and equipment to sports enthusiasts of baseball, softball, football, basketball, hockey, soccer, and much more. Give them a call at 856-939-2030 or send them an email at sportsoutletnj@comcast.net or visit their website at www.sportsoutletinc.com for all of your sporting needs.
You're listening to Tom and Mike, AM in the PM on A2DRadio.com.
We're talking tests here on Tom, Mike, AM, and the PM here on A2DRadio.com. Not an HIV test, just testing things on the program, the station, A2DRadio.com. If you're just joining us and just tuning in, not a problem. You can go back and listen to everything you missed, or you can just hop in now and get in the conversation. 856-295-1178. We started with Phillies talk, 2016 predictions for the Phils, and you can vote. How many games will the Phillies win in 2016? Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, Pinterest, Google Plus, and there's more. Tumblr, right? People like to tumble. A2D Radio is how you can find us. How many? 82 or more, 76 or 81, 70 or 75, less than 70. Mr. Mataraki had about 78. I don't disagree with him. I disagree with him strictly just because if we're all kumbaya and agreeing, there's no show. So I said, I think maybe more like 74-ish. I don't know. But I think we both have a good gut feeling on this season. And we're excited because you know why? It's a turnover. It's a turn of a new leaf, right? We're turning over a new leaf here, and it's beautiful here with Matt Quintac and the Philadelphia Phillies, right? For right now. It's a love affair. Just like Sam Hinkie's first year. It's all kumbaya. The last Sixers good game the Sixers were in was Mark Carter-Williams' first game as a rookie against the Heat. That's how long, Robbie, it goes back in Mr. Mataraki from the last meaningful Sixers game. That long.
That's funny.
Nikki Dell chiming in. Sweep. Worst numbers at Product of Citizens Bank Park. Agreed a little bit, but I think that it's more because of the lineup he was put in. I mean, listen, this is murderer's row, essentially, that lineup. So I think that helps. Wilson checked in, too. Wanted to tell us his pick of the night was Utah, I think, getting 4 against Golden State.
Interesting.
+4 versus Golden State tonight. I think Utah wins outright. What do you think?
I think you just had a major violation is what I think.
Don't give a shit about if somebody else said outright before. It's what it's called. It's an outright win.
All right, you can have it.
I'm not trying to have anything. I don't copy other people.
All right.
Do I? Did I miss something? I think I'm pretty damn good at what I do. I don't think I copy anybody.
I think
Is it an outright win? Did I miss something? How does Vegas say?
I-
Mike freaking missing out. He owns the right, the outright win. Nobody ever said that before, Mr. Mataraki.
I'm not saying it.
Okay, hold on. We'll do this nice and smooth. So Mr. Wilson thinks that the Utah Jazz are just going to win the +4. Is that better?
I think you just fell back into old habits for a second.
What was the old habit? I don't have old habits. I've been doing it longer than you.
The outright.
What has that old habits? Explain to me, Michael. I'm confused.
Do I need to explain it to you?
Damn it.
Do I? Do I really?
I don't know what happened. I'm just reading something. Just read out the prompter.
Oh, well, hold on. Give this one.
I don't read anything you put on the prompter.
Give this one back to Wilson.
What do you got?
Syracuse University announces Donovan McNabb will be part of Syracuse's Final Four radio announce team. Because number 5 will always love you
and drink you under the table. What is he? How does he? Mike.
He did play ball for 2 years there.
That was fun though, right there. Yeah, he did play basketball there for 2 years. You're right.
Yeah.
Forgot all about it. Donovan and his English.
Yeah, he played. Was it sophomore and junior years?
Dude, how good? Listen, how good is Bill Rapp? I mean, we're talking Final Four now in a second. And then, real quick, the Final Four is brought to you by Scanzano Sports Center, located Cherry Hill, New Jersey, 856-889-3434. On the web, scanzanosports.com. But how great is Bill Rafferty, guys? I mean, is he just the best?
Bill Raftery he's my absolute favorite college basketball commentator.
I can just watch a game and laugh. You know what I mean? How many games do you watch and you laugh after you're the color guy?
Because they open up in a minute. Onions.
Look at him gather his puppies. I love the puppies.
The guy.
His English.
The guy is great, and he's got Philly ties too, which makes it even more fun.
Yeah, because you get his sense, you get his style, because he's a Philly guy, right? I mean, we sort of the way he talks.
I will take him all day and twice on Sunday over Dick Vitale, because Dick Vitale
came a little too much.
He jumped the shark 10 years ago. He's just annoying as
too many diaper dance.
A little bit.
Everybody's wearing a diaper nowadays in college because nobody's over a freshman.
And I think he drank his bottle of Windex.
Yeah, you know where Dick Vitale lives?
Like Florida, right?
Sarasota.
Yeah.
Yeah, same place my parents live.
Nice.
Dickie V. You know who else? Jerry Springer. Spring. You know Spring, Robbie? Jerry Springer's living in Sarasota, Florida, too.
So now here's my question for you.
Go ahead.
You get out to visit your parents and you walk into a bar in Sarasota. Vitale's sitting at one end of the bar and Springer's sitting at the
You're
other
sitting
end. Who are you sitting with?
I gotta go Jerry.
Jerry,
Right? I mean,
my man.
I love Dickie, and we love talking Cyber Dandies together, but I'm looking for some craziness. I'm looking for a hectic night. You know what I mean? What happens in Sarasota stays in Sarasota.
Oh, that's great.
What was it?
Dude, I love it.
Was
I
the
love
Springer
it.
when the guy paid his buddy to sleep with his girlfriend?
Yeah.
And then she came on and told him that, oh, I'm so sorry. I slept with your buddy. And he's like, yeah, I know. I paid him. It was a bet. That's terrible. So you got your final four, right? Nova, Oklahoma. All right, you got Jay Wright, the beautiful suit, versus Buddy. And we're going to talk about Buddy in a second, too. And then on the other side of the bracket, you have Carolina, Syracuse. Right? Listen, as much as I'm a big upset guy and I love it, I don't see it. I think Carolina is the best team in this tournament. We talked about it last week. Bigs who can cover guards who can cover bigs. Bryce John's such a good player. They're just so deep. Marcus Page, a good player. I got Carolina. Do you have something different on that side?
No, I have Carolina, and I mean, if we're being honest here, love the gutsy effort out of Syracuse on Sunday to win that game. But if Malachi Richardson doesn't go off in the second half, Virginia walks.
No, I agree.
I mean, that second half was on the back of, Trenton Catholic Academy.
Yeah.
I was going to say Trenton Central Catholic, but yeah, Trenton Catholic Academy, Malachi Richardson.
Oh, it's Trenton.
That second half that's on his back.
You can throw Catholic next to it, but it's still Trenton.
Yeah. And if he doesn't get hot at the right time.
Yeah.
Again, that's a Virginia walk.
But it makes your point. I mean, isn't that what it's, that's the only way they're going to get through. And the only way to,
right.
I mean, if somebody gets hot for Syracuse, I mean, I guess anybody can beat anybody in this tournament. We've seen it.
Right.
Takes more than one, though, right? I mean, you think two guys will have to go off for Syracuse to pull this one off?
Well, and I think what's really interesting about the Syracuse-Carolina game, and unfortunately, I don't think it's going to work in Syracuse's favor, is, I mean, it's an ACC matchup. The crazy thing about this Final Four is you've got the two ACC teams on one side of the bracket, and then on the other side of the bracket, you got Villanova and Oklahoma, and people will go, okay, well, you got Villanova and Oklahoma, but they played already this year. A lot of people don't remember that. They played
job.
Yeah, they played very early in the season. I think it was like early December in Pearl Harbor. And the thing I specifically remember about that game was they played in this tiny little gym that had these huge windows around the ceiling. And there was a whole ton of natural light in there. And I remember watching this game on TV and the glare that was coming off of the floor and the backboards. And I was just like, how can these guys even see what they're shooting at? Well, it bothered the hell out of Villanova's shooters, but it certainly didn't bother Buddy Hield.
So both times they played North Carolina this year, back on January 9th.
Right.
At the time, Carolina was ranked number 6 in the country. They played home against Carolina. They lost 84-73. They met again on the 29th of February. And at this point, Carolina was number 8 and Syracuse lost 75-70. So a tighter game. And
right,
that was at Carolina.
Okay. And I think that was I believe that was the Carolina senior night where Carolina started a bunch of seniors, guys that wouldn't normally get a lot of playing time, got off to a bit of a rough start in that game. Syracuse took advantage of it early, and then once Carolina got their act together, kind of became a little bit of a roll.
Syracuse in their last 7, right, guys? You want to hear this crazy shit? Syracuse in the last 7 games, 1-6. No, I'm sorry. Hold on.
You're talking regular season.
Sorry, 1-5. The end of the regular season, they were 1-5.
And then they go into the tournament, and
then boom, they win 4 straight. How do you predict this shit? They're a bubble team. They barely get in. They go 1-5 down the stretch, and they get in. But we both have Carolina. The other side of the bracket, like you were talking about. That game when they matched up was a roll job. Oklahoma. I think this one's a little closer. But who are you leaning towards? I guess we got to give her a championship prediction on who wins it all too, since we won't see them.
Yeah, I mean it's tough, and I don't want to come off as a homer on this one, but I'm going Nova, and I'm gonna tell you why. I think the thing that Nova has going for them right now that they didn't have going for them when they played the first time is they've got the Reynolds and Mikhail Bridges defense factor. I think they can. I think Reynolds is big enough that he can spell Daniel Oshefu at the 5, but he's also long and lean and quick enough that if he has to do some work on the perimeter to cover up for guys that are maybe going to double Buddy Hield, I think that works. And I think you could see a lot of Mikhail Bridges one-on-one on Buddy Hield, and that's going to be a problem for Buddy. And I honestly feel, and this is, again, not a homer call, but I think it's painfully obvious that if you shut down Buddy Hield, you can beat Oklahoma.
No, I agree. I think it's a close game. I think it's a last shot game.
Now, the flip side of that is Arch has to keep up the shooting. Arcidiacono has always been the leader, the smart guy, the creator, the facilitator. I've never seen him shoot the lights out the way he is for Villanova in this tournament. Rob, what do you got?
Oh, it's nothing sports related.
Oh.
It's more drama in the fantasy league. That people got to be. It's like they're a lawyer now. All of a sudden, it's a fantasy baseball league. Holy shit!
That's all. Fancy baseball.
The fist pump there. I thought we had a Flyers goal or something.
God forbid.
I'll check the Flyers game. Hold
on. All right.
Real quick.
But I think if Arch shoots it the way he's been shooting, he gets some help from Chris Jenkins or Josh Hart.
Got to.
And they shut down Buddy Hield. Yeah, they're in.
But that's a big, big
ifs.
Shutting down Buddy. I think Buddy's going to get his. I just think it comes down to the last shot.
Yeah.
Last shot. Nova's got the. Listen, you can say every team at this point has that look of a team that's set to do something really great. I'm going to stick with Oklahoma in that game. I think Oklahoma wins. I think it ends up being Carolina. I think it's Carolina, Oklahoma, and I think Carolina wins the whole thing. But real quick,
I'm with you
Carolina.
I got Carolina Nova, and I got Carolina winning the whole thing.
So we're on the same page. Real quick about Buddy Hield. This is what. Listen, this whole league's a copycat league. Every league's a copycat league. He's jumped up into a top 3 guy. He's drafted top 3 in this year's draft.
Easily.
I think before he was around the 6, 7 spot. He jumped in. It's copycat league. He flat out shoots it. He'll jump up. Real quick. Another guy chiming in. Pete McCannon, underperformer. Strange. I think somebody chimed in. Pete McCannon underperforming. Don't know how much I agree with it, but that's fine. To each their own.
I think Pete McCannon's going to overperform.
I think maybe it was overperform. I don't know what the hell. Guy said something. Who cares? Moving on. Dumbest thing you heard all week. And this is brought to you by Romeo's Termite and Pest Control, your local pest control provider, family-owned and operated business. 856-341-3927. On the web, Romeo'sPestControl.com.
The dumbest thing that I heard all week is out of Granite Shoals, Texas.
I'm sure.
Which should tell you right there.
Who?
Police in
Granite Shoals.
Police in Granite. Well, I don't know, because when you hear the story, police in Granite Shoals, Texas, have charged at least one person following a fake alert.
Fake alert.
The alert was that meth and heroin could be tainted with Ebola. And people should bring the drugs to the police to have them checked. In a Facebook post last week that has since been removed from their Facebook page, the Granite Shoals police issued a warning that goes as follows. Meth and heroin recently brought to Central Texas, as well as the ingredients used to make it, could be contaminated with the life-threatening disease Ebola. If you have recently purchased meth or heroin in Central Texas,
oh my goodness,
please take it to your local police station or sheriff's department so it can be screened with a special device.
Unreal.
And the dumbest thing I've heard all week is that one person, Chastity Eugenia Hobson.
Who? Give me that one again. Look at this one, Rob. She's sleeping with her uncle. Go ahead. Hit me.
Chastity Eugenia Hobson.
Yep, Eugenia.
Age 24.
Banging her uncle.
From Granite Shoals, Texas, has taken them up on their offer and showed up to have her drugs screened.
Oh, my goodness. Have another one.
She was immediately apprehended and is now facing drug-related charges.
No shit.
So, Chastity Eugenia Hobson, you are the dumbest thing that I've heard.
all week. Simple enough. Moving into our bro code, a little bro code. Now to Iggy, this is all peaches and cream. Iggy's happy.
Little kumsi kumsa.
Iggy's happy. But bro code brought to you by Harry's Contracting for professional home improvement. Give Harry Ernst a call. 609-638-6336. No job too small, no job too big. Email him, Harry's Contracting Improvements at gmail.com. Bro code in NBA news. At least I put on Facebook earlier, at least Sheila Okafor, all he did was drive fast, right? I mean, that's the worst he's done. D'Angelo Russell is, listen, I don't condone cheating on your woman, but in the NBA, let's call it how we see it. If you're marrying an NBA player, expect his goods to be in a lot of other goods, right? And we can leave that right there. But Mr. One D'Angelo Russell thinks it's funny to take a video of him and one Mr. Swaggy P.
That'd be Nick Young for the
Nick
uneducated.
Young, for the people out there. And asking him pretty much, asking women he slept with. You know, if you slept with this person on Iggy, if you slept with this person, blah, 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 blah. Long story short, there's rifts in the locker room now. Guys aren't talking to him. There's a part that he went into the cafeteria to eat and went to sit next to Lou Williams. Lou Williams got up and left. So Iggy loves it. She was happy. She went on Twitter thanking one Mr. D'Angelo Russell for sharing this video. Listen, joke or prank gone really bad, dude. Well, what are you doing?
Well,
what are you doing?
Here's my thing.
You think Nick Williams isn't banging things on the? I mean, Nick Young. Nick
Yeah.
Williams is too.
Nick Williams is
They are
too.
both banging away. Nick's hitting both the baseball and women in hotel rooms. Moving on.
Now, here's my thing. I understand that this guy is 19 years old and he should be a sophomore in college right now. You got to know better. You got to know better. I mean,
fraternity of the NBA is hush hush.
yeah. And what? And wait, what did you say to me earlier? Bro code is established when?
I think birth, right?
Well,
I don't know.
I know you said not sophomore in college, sophomore in high school.
Yeah, you should know bro code by I would think sophomore in high school, freshman.
By freshman, sophomore year in high school.
Nowadays, everything happens earlier in life, so maybe a freshman. But you can't do that.
You know the bro code.
I mean, so many guys in the NBA have illegitimate children and child support. I mean, Chris Webber, we talk about right before Mike, how much child support that guy has to pay, and Sean Kemp and other guys around the league, tons of children. So, for Iggy Honey, you know what I mean? Music, whatever, okay, babe. But for anybody to think that's married to an NBA player that it stays in his pants on the road, you're crazy.
I mean, the NBA is an entirely different animal.
It's like a porn.
D'Angelo Russell would have committed less of a violation by hitting Iggy than
no, they would have sat together. They would have sat together. Then they're all sitting together in the cafeteria talking about backdoor Iggy.
He could have hit Iggy, and it would have been less of a violation than diming out his boy.
Oh my God! They could have talked over muffins in the morning about back doors, right? Harry's Contracting put together some great back doors. Did you see Iggy's? You know what I mean? So,
they could run the train,
no
and it's less of a violation than wrapping
Sharon's
your boy.
Karen in the NBA. They tell you this all the time. Wasn't that their slogan? Sharon's Karen.
Oh.
Wasn't it? Oh, the NBA cares, right? The NBA cares is their slogan. It should be Sharon's Karen. That's what the NBA slogan is. Sharon Women's Karen.
Clearly, the concept of bros before hoes was 100% lost on D'Angelo Russell.
Oh, wow. Well, I don't know. Now there's tension in LA. I love how one reporter tried to compare it to Kobe and Shaq. Get a clue.
Get out of here.
Get a clue. Listen.
Well, but here's the problem.
Yeah.
And now they're talking about if they actually wanted to trade him, because there was those whispers for Jalil and whatnot.
Now it's
ain't nobody taking him off your hands.
Now it's done. Listen, we want to thank Gibson Mayer LLC. Our sponsors every Wednesday night. See him on the web, gibsonmayer.com. From Mike Mataraki, Rob Hovey producing. I'm Tom Arnone. It's been Tom, Mike, AM and the PM right here on the Worldwide Leader, Real Talk, HDRadio.com. Stay tuned. You got the AIM Sports Showcase Friday, 9 a.m. and you got a Bishop Eustace high school game following it. See you soon.